Hey guys, it's Natalie and welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I'm going to be doing a fall book recommendations video, and if you guys missed my last year's video, I can go ahead and link that in the description down below. I'm going to be mentioning completely different books in today's video from that video, so you can go ahead and watch that one after this one or before, whichever you choose. But if you want to get the maximum full benefits of fall book recommendations, then you should definitely watch both because I have so many great recommendations. So I don't own a lot of these books physically because before I moved to Maryland, I got rid of a lot of my books, so I'm just going to be putting pictures up on the screen for sake of ease. So let's get straight into the video. So the first book I have to recommend is Sawkill Girls by Claire Legrand, and this one is a young adult horror / mystery novel that follows a group of girls who live on an island called Sawkill Rock, where every year for decades girls have been going missing at the hands of a monster, and no one has ever dared to fight the monster until the events of the book. Sawkill Girls is perfect if you love spooky LGBT books. This one has Sapphic and Ace rep, and it also is just so mysterious and spooky, and it's super atmospheric, and you definitely feel like you're on this salty island and you can feel the trees closing in on you. And this one is just super fantastic overall. I really enjoyed it. The writing is really pretty and it's perfect to read for the fall season. So the next book I have to recommend is When We Were Magic by Sarah Gailey, and this is a young adult light fantasy / contemporary that follows a group of girlfriends, and they all have supernatural witch powers, and one of the girls accidentally has a situation where her magic goes sideways and she accidentally ends up winding up with a boy dead, and her and her friends kind of band together to try to solve the issue and get through it. And also our main character is in love with her best friend, so you kind of see some struggles with that through the book as well. So this one also has Sapphic rep, and overall I really enjoyed this one. I think it's great if you like a really light fantasy that you still feel like it's fall but it's not super immersive like a normal fantasy book. So yeah, highly recommend this one. So up next is House of Salt and Sorrows by Erin A. Craig. This is a young adult fantasy / light horror novel that follows this family that lives on a salty seaside island, and it follows a family whose sisters are getting picked off one by one, and our main character is determined to get to the bottom of why her sisters keep disappearing. And it's very much a retelling of the 12 Dancing Princesses, but make it spooky, and I absolutely loved this book. Probably one of the most atmospheric books I've ever read, and I still think about this one daily. So definitely go ahead and check this one out if you love spooky retellings. This one is so fantastic. So the next book I have to recommend is actually a graphic novel, and this one is The Phantom Twin by Lisa Brown. This one is a, I believe, young adult graphic novel that follows two sisters who were conjoined, and during the separation surgery one of them passes away, and the other sister, who is the survivor, is seemingly haunted by her sister, and she's having a really difficult time finding her place in society. I think this was super quick and super spooky. Not super spooky, very lightly spooky, but definitely very perfect for fall, and it has a little bit of like AHS Freak Show vibes. I really enjoyed this one. I think it's a super great quick read that you can read in one weekend. So yeah, definitely check this one out. So up next is another graphic novel, and that is Something Is Killing the Children. This is an adult horror graphic novel that follows a small town where children have been going missing very frequently, and the adults in the community and the police don't really believe anybody that there's anything seriously wrong. And then one day a woman named Erica Slaughter comes to town, and she specializes in finding monsters, and she is kind of like the first person to believe the kids and what is really going on. And it's just super fun and action-packed and super gory as well. And this one I really enjoyed. There's several volumes. I only read the first, but I'm sure the rest are just as great. So this one is perfect if you love some spooky horror. So the next one I have to recommend is an adult short horror novella, and that is The Monster of Ellenhaven by Jennifer Giesbrecht. This one follows a relationship between a man and a monster, and their hold on their seaside over industrialized town. And this book is super hard to describe, and there's not too much that I can say without giving it away since it's such a short book. but I really enjoyed this one. It is very atmospheric and it has very weird themes, and you want to immerse yourself so hard in this whole like over-industrialized city, and it's just super cool, and that's all I can really say about it. So if you want something that has MLM representation and is super spooky and super quick, then this is a great recommendation for fall. So up next I have a thriller, and that is The Other People by CJ Tudor. This book follows a man named Gabe whose wife and daughter were killed, and Gabe doesn't believe that his daughter was actually killed that day, even though there is a body, because he saw his daughter in the back of a moving vehicle on the highway hours after the crime had occurred. So in this book, we're basically following Gabe on this endless quest to find his daughter. I really enjoyed this book. It has very complex relationships, a very complex plot with a lot of interwoven things, and there's also a little bit of a paranormal aspect as well, which adds a lot of intrigue. So this one is super great if you're looking for something that's super page turning, you just want to find out what happens with a little bit of a paranormal aspect, then I think this book is so fantastic to read for the fall season. So up next is Wuthering Heights by Emily Bronte. This is a book that I have recommended so much on my channel, and this one is a classic that follows our main character Kathy and Heathcliff. And Kathy's father found Heathcliff on the streets as an orphan and brought him into the household, but kind of treated him like he was subservient trash. And Kathy also knows that her dad is absolute garbage, so her and Heathcliff kind of bond over that. And over the years, they culminate in intense obsession with each other that kind of ruins the lives of everyone around them. This book is super gothic and dramatic, and there's so much that happens. It's multi-generational, and it's told through the perspective of the household maid. I believe her name is Ellen, and she tells the whole story through an unbiased perspective, and I think this book is so perfect to read for the fall time. It takes place in the dreary moors of England, and it's just so perfect. This book definitely is not for everybody, I will say that. I honestly did not expect to like this book when I first got into it, but I absolutely tore it apart in the week that I did read it, and I annotated, highlighted, underlined so much of this book. So it's definitely that book that you sit down with, you tear it apart, and really put your focus into it. So yeah, I highly recommend this book if you love gothic classics, if you love a book that would be perfect for curling on a bearskin rug by a fire. This book is that book. So yeah, highly recommend this one if you love classics. So up next is one of my favorite books of all time. I recommended this book so much on my channel as well, and that is Wilder Girls by Rory Power. This is a young adult horror novel that follows an island where there is a school called, I believe, the Raxter High School for Girls, and it's a boarding school, and on the island a kind of virus breaks out. It's called the Tox. Kind of infects the girls' bodies in weird ways, giving them scales or second spines or pulsating lesions, and it also morphs the wildlife on the island, and the island becomes cut off from the rest of the United States. So this book is so fantastic in every way. This is one of my favorite books of all time. It is a perfect mix of gory but also tender. It's kind of like an LGBT kind of Lord of the Flies vibe, and there's a lot of cute sapphicness in the book as well as gut-wrenching horror. So if you love the balance of those things, then you will absolutely love this book. There's so much mystery. I was turning every page. The writing is absolutely stunning and like nothing I've ever read before. So if you're looking for something truly unique, I highly recommend this book. It is so fantastic. So the last book I have to recommend is actually one that I read this year, and that is Will My Cat Eat My Eyeballs? Or Big Questions from Tiny Mortals About Death by Caitlin Doughty. And this book is perfect if you want something that's not overtly spooky but still kind of spooky because it's about death, and that is this nonfiction adult book. Well, I don't know if this would classify as adult, but I still think it is because it does contain a lot of material that's probably not suitable for younger people. But yeah, anyway, so this book is exactly what it sounds like. It's basically our author slash mortician, Caitlin Doughty, getting asked questions by kids about death, and she answers them in very poignant and funny ways, and I just absolutely love this book. I honestly have a huge fear of death myself, but this book puts it into such a perspective where you don't feel so scared of it because it's such a natural process, and Caitlin Doughty discusses that immensely in this book, and it's just so funny. Her writing is hilarious. She has a bunch of humor involved in the book, and I highly recommend this one. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. Leave a like and subscribe down below, and hit the notification bell if you don't want to miss a single upload, and leave a comment letting me know some books that you would recommend to somebody who wants fall book recommendations, and have a great rest of your day. Bye bye.